And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every single Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, you are with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, and the West Coast, and all around the spinning rock that we call Earth on these wonderful channels. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So wherever you are, we thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, once the shows go live, they hop into the archive. We just added one late last night about the many scenarios of Major League Baseball. So if you thought it was confusing, we're going to try and help you sift through and kind of, you know, when you find a ball of yarn and it's tangled and you're just trying to get through it, or even in your daily life, if you wear a chain like I do and there's that like one piece of the chain that balls up and you got to find a way to get through it. Well, that's what we did with our baseball coverage, and you can go and check that out on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. So many shows, over 1,600 episodes just on Podbean alone. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. With that being said, coming up on the show here today, inside of Monpaz, Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Marcus Coleman's going to be joining me in just a few moments from Syracuse Orange football history, defensive tackle for the team on the interior of the D-line. We're going to speak on after football, the journey forward, that next chapter. We're also going to get into Fran Brown, his thoughts, as well as how the alumni have been treated. Some positive things I'm hearing, so I want to hear what Marcus has to say about that, as well as the 2024-25 season thus far. Then in hour number 2, as we always do on a Tuesday, we'll jump into our Bearcat break room, our Bearcat time, with our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University and the Bearcats. And Jerry Cummiskey is going to be joining me, the men's and women's swimming and diving head coach, to tell his story, the story of the team, and to take a deeper dive, literally, into the Binghamton University Bearcats. And of course, we round out every Tuesday show with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicoles. So, Marcus and I were talking off the air, and as we were talking off the air about Monday Night Football and the Jaguars' beautiful disaster last night, I asked him, I said, I know we're supposed to start right when we come on. Can you give me a minute to just speak? And he said, sure, go ahead. So this is what I have to say. So he's here. He can see it. He's out there in the waiting room here and watching from Jersey. So I want you all to just sit with me for a minute, and I want you to all to just relax, okay? Because I have some things I need to say. Yesterday's game by the Jacksonville Jaguars, what I saw that bothered me is that I've gotten to know these guys. And have I gotten the respect from the organization that I think I've earned? No. But the respect from the players means more to me, because without the players, there's no organization, and I think some people forget that. Chad Muma, Foye Oluokun, Roy Robertson Harris, Cam Robinson, Anton Harrison, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, Andre Sisco, Dewey, and the list goes on. I've had the opportunity and the blessing to be around these guys. And I have seen this team for longer than some people have been in the organization. I have been in that locker room and been around a team that has looked different at different times. And I feel like the experience I've had with these guys on and off the field and the conversations I've had with them has provoked me to say that something's wrong with the culture. I have watched this team through really tough times. I've watched this team through times where it looked like people just, the wind was out of the sails. I've also watched this team fly around and do things that people thought they couldn't do. Right now, I'm not seeing a sense of urgency. Right now, I'm not seeing full tilt. I'm not seeing 100%. And I want to be careful in how I say this to you, because I'm not saying that these guys don't try, and I'm not saying that they don't care. They do care. But there is a problem within the culture. And I know that there's air in that building that's dirty, because that stupid air has been around me. But as I push that air aside with my faith in God, I think that air is still sitting there. And Jacksonville is in a place right now where what I'm seeing on the field is making me feel like 0-3 is not the worst we're going to see. I don't like saying that. I don't like thinking that. But if you pay attention and you're around the team like I have been, and you've spent the time like I have, you can see that something's wrong, and you can see that there is not a cohesive, collective, connected tissue. Something is pulling apart. And people want to blame your head coach and your quarterback. That's what typically happens. The team does well. Tom Brady won 2 Super Bowls because his defense was awesome. But we all talked about a lot of us talked about Tom Brady. And yet, when a team makes a mistake or a team doesn't win, that's who you go to, the head coach and the quarterback. And yeah, I do think that there's some issues with, I haven't been a fan of the offensive coordinating of this season, last season. And I think there's some struggles maybe with Doug Peterson, with Press Taylor. But Trevor Lawrence doesn't just become a not great quarterback. And this team doesn't just not look like they're going full speed at Josh Allen. Their tackling yesterday, guys look like they were tired. They look like they were lethargic. They look like they were not really into the game, is maybe the best way to call it. And I don't put it on these guys and say that they don't care, because I know that they care. I know a lot of them care. And ultimately this morning, I'm an impartial broadcaster. I love my Jaguars, but I picked them to lose as an impartial broadcaster, because my job is to bring you opinions based on what I see in the facts, what I see in the film. And the proof in the pudding was Buffalo was going to win that game. I didn't think that they were going to win that game like that they were going to be scoring late in the game with their backups in. Buffalo had a blessing yesterday. They got to play a preseason game during the season. They got to play a warm-up game on Monday Night Football. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a problem with consistency, because it takes a long time for them to get good, and when they get good, it's very, very short-lived. I went 10 years covering the team with no playoffs. Then they made the playoffs. And then some of the people on the team started feeling themselves. And they lost. And I was there. I was right there in Foxborough. And seeing that, you're like, okay, well, next year they got it. Next year they can do it. But the next year, it was like they thought the playoffs were still going on, that they don't have to go through a whole run of the season. They avenged the Patriots, but they barely beat anybody else. Then they were the worst team in football when they drafted Trevor Lawrence. And in his first season, the team struggled, which made sense because they were the worst team in football. And then all of a sudden they made the playoffs, and they were this great turnaround story, arguably the best turnaround story. And then they faltered last year, and they didn't take care of business toward the end of the season. And then they started this season looking like the haphazard, unfocused, undisciplined, just kind of everybody out there but no one together. It's like a bunch of puzzle pieces to different puzzles. It's never going to make the picture that you're looking for. So am I frustrated? Beyond. Am I confused? No. Because when there is ick in your organization, it leaks. And I saw ick years ago. And we saw it on the field eventually. So Jacksonville has to figure out who they are, who they want to be, who they want to lead. And they need to understand, like anyone does, me and you don't disrespect, cut away, and push aside those that were there for you when you were bleeding just because you think now the red carpet wants you. Because the red carpet doesn't want anything to do with Jacksonville right now. Jacksonville, arguably this morning, is the laughingstock of the NFL. They're arguably the bigger story than the Browns, or the bigger story than the Giants. They're the bigger story than the Rams, because the Rams won without Puka and won without Cooper against a team that I think could potentially go back to the Super Bowl in San Francisco. Jacksonville this morning is the worst team in the NFL. And a team is the sum of its parts. So we need to trim the fat, understand the situation, figure out where the bleeding is in this culture, stop it, neosporin it, Band-Aid it, and start moving forward. Because the time for Jacksonville to be who they are, to be who they're capable of, that was a while ago. And there's no better time than the time right now to understand what's wrong, figure it out, and make the change. But when you don't have leadership, and you don't have cohesion, and you don't have the value set throughout, you will find ways to fail when you have viruses in your system. A computer cannot be strong in one area and a virus in another. That virus eventually will attack the entire computer. And Jacksonville has to look at the virus, study the virus, get rid of the virus, and then pick up the pieces of this computer and rebuild. The unfortunate part is you're in the middle of the season. The fortunate part is God gives you every day that you wake up in the morning to make a positive change. And that positive change couldn't come soon enough. Jacksonville, I'm with you. I love you. Let's figure it out. With that being said, Marcus Coleman's on the broadcast. Marcus, thank you. I'm sorry that I took some time away from you this morning to speak my mind here, but I'm happy to have you.
No worries. I completely understand. That's how I felt after the Eagles lost to the Falcons on Monday Night Football. I would have went on a rant just like you did on your team. So I understand you needed that space.
So with that being said, Marcus Coleman is here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Marcus, you obviously had time playing on the football field at Syracuse, and you know, as well as many of the guys know, how important it is to me that the alumni were heard, that you were heard, that you were appreciated, that you were respected, and that if you weren't going to get it from the university, if you weren't going to get it from the coach, if it wasn't going to be there, I was going to keep knocking on that door. Then here comes Fran Brown, who says, that's what I want too. And I went, really? And then I thought to myself, I don't have to fight this. So I'd love to get your thoughts on how you feel as an alum of Syracuse and of the football program. And if you do feel that Fran Brown has lived by his word and that there is an open door that maybe wasn't there for Syracuse alumni.
Well, Dan, once again, thank you for having me on. It's always truly an honor to be on here with you. You have always used your platform, like you mentioned, to highlight Syracuse alumni, whether they were major contributors to walk-ons. It's truly amazing. First, I just always, as you know, a football team is a brotherhood. So we always think of the ones that have passed on before us.
Yeah.
So one of my teammates, Mr. McFarland, as you're aware, passed away, and I always like to honor his life. He was a great teammate, a great person.
Yeah.
To answer your question about Fran Brown, he's been doing a great job engaging with the alumni base. I'm witnessing it because I live in Camden, New Jersey, his hometown, and South Jersey is known for its rich football talent, from Jonathan Taylor to Corey Clement, Mike Rozier, Heisman Trophy winner that came out of Camden, New Jersey. he's doing a great job. And just speaking with my friends that are fellow alumni, anytime you reach out to go to one of the games, they give you the red carpet treatment. You're going to see the facilities. You're going to have a sideline pass, no matter if you were an NFL player to a walk-on. And that's truly amazing just to see how he's able to really get the alumni base, especially Syracuse football alumni base, back engaged and enthusiastic about the future.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it doesn't matter how many downs you played. It doesn't matter if you went to the NFL. It doesn't matter, you know, what you did, what your statistics were. That is something that has always been, carried here with me on the show, and been important here to me on the show is that I don't care what you did on the field. I care that you were a part, like you said, of the brotherhood, of the family. To have a head coach that not only opens the door to alumni, but that says to you, Marcus, if you had 10 tackles and this guy had 90, like, you don't see him going, yeah, hey Mark, how you doing? And then walk away from you and then go spend an hour with this guy. That you actually feel like, hey, he just wants to know who's in the family, wants to welcome the family back and bring you in. What does that element mean to you? Not only that Fran Brown has opened the door to Syracuse football alumni, but that he's opened the door equally and not like, okay, well, bring in Dwight Freeney, but don't bring anybody else.
Yeah, we all have unique skills and talents. So there's alumni that might not have been huge contributors during their time at Syracuse, but now they're successful business owners, doctors, where they can really contribute to the growth of Syracuse football. In particular, right now, we're all aware of the NIL, how that has changed the college sports landscape, not just football, but across all sports. There's alumni that they might not have been the top quarterback or the top cornerback, but now they're able to give back to a school in a program that impacted their life such in a positive way.
Yeah.
And now they can help build the program. And that's the benefit of Coach Brown's approach, that every football alumni matters.
Yeah, and to hear that, it makes me happy because, like I said, this has been a mission for me for a long time. I mean, I just want to have alumni on the show because selfishly, I mean, I grew up in Syracuse, New York. It's my hometown, and I got to see a lot of guys play growing up, and then just being there with my dad and my mom and watching it with my grandparents. So to me, it was like, hey, it'd be really cool to talk to people like yourself. And then it became like, okay, well, now it's a platform, now it's a voice, now it's an opportunity, now it's like let's make sure that these people know that they're loved and they're appreciated. For you to have that welcome and to have that appreciation and to have that, like, hey Marcus, come back to campus, like, you've made something of yourself in your life. We're going to talk about that in a second here. But what I love about your story, Marcus, is the way that you carry yourself, the way that you are as a person. You believe in networking. You believe in, dressing up for work. A lot of people have forgotten that stuff, right? So, look good, feel good, care about people, network, and put yourself in a position where you're constantly growing and learning and evolving and showing student athletes you can be something after football. And so I would love to know how this story began for you when football ended. And I know we've talked about some things before, but when football ended, how hard of a transition was it for you to say, okay, it's next chapter time. Marcus Coleman is more than just a football player. Bring me into that moment.
Yeah, so Dan, like you mentioned, we have spoke about that. And so for my story, I played at Syracuse University from 2012 to 2015. After my junior year, I was medically disqualified. And like a lot of athletes, even if you make it to the top NFL and you had a great 10-year career, football or any sport is a huge part of your identity.
Yeah.
And it's a part of your life. You're used to waking up in the morning, doing the workouts, doing film. It's hard to transition. It's who am I without this large part of my life. And I had to go through that transition like every other athlete has. And you go through a whole gamut of emotions. The biggest one is, I mean, sadness and depression, right? It's everyone knew me as Marcus Coleman, a football player.
Yeah.
And then do you have the belief that you can do something else? And what I share with a lot of student athletes is you can. While you're chasing your dream, whether it's football, basketball, swimming, track, try to cultivate other skills and passions that you may have because we are multifaceted people. And I see from my story, being medically disqualified was a blessing. I had an opportunity to go to Syracuse University, a great private institution. I was in a business school. I was a dual major in finance and supply chain management. Being medically disqualified gave me an entire year to really leverage and utilize the resources that were there at Syracuse University to set me on a path that I'm on now, where I work in financial services and I'm able to help individuals, families, nonprofits, and business owners achieve their goals.
Yeah, and like you said, working financially and being able to do things in that world. I mean, was this always was it an interest of yours? Was it a passion of yours? Was it something that became a passion to work in this world? And by the way, with the way that this country is, making sure that every dollar is spent in a educated way, in a smart way. I mean, I feel like we all need someone. We all need a Marcus Coleman to go like, "Hey, how do I make sure that when eggs are $9, I mean, when eggs are more than the price, when 12 eggs cost more than a gallon of gas, y'all need to stop." And that's how I feel about that. So how have you navigated? I mean, not only helping someone who's, being someone who's helping people with financial planning in their present and their future, but to be someone in today's economy that's doing it. What has challenged you? Because I can imagine that people have been scared. I can imagine they're frustrated. So what's that been like?
And Dan, you hit it. That's probably the main conversation that I've had with clients over the last year and a half is how do you navigate multiple goals? Your short-term goals, whether it's traveling, with your long-term goals of retiring, when inflation is making a significant impact on your everyday life. I mean, you made a perfect example. Groceries went up,
Yeah.
whether in price or the packaging shrinking. If
Yep.
you have a family of two, I mean, it's very challenging. Recently, we saw gas go down. In my area, gas is under $3. So it was awesome to fill up my tank for $20. I have a Toyota Camry, so $20 now. I go 2 weeks of driving around meeting people.
Yeah.
It's starting to go a long way. But it is a tough conversation because with a lot of Americans, we are a very hardworking. America has a hard work culture,
Yeah.
and at the same time, you like to enjoy the fruit of your labor. A lot of families and individuals had to cut back during this time and prioritize the goals that add the most value to them and their family. And that's the conversations I've been having. They have been difficult.
Yeah.
Some families couldn't go on the Disney trip this year, but they were still able to go to the shore. They're still be able to spend time with their family and still travel, but they had to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and that seems like how life is for us right now is adjustment, right? People making adjustments. And what I find to be really unfair is, Marcus, people that are good with their money, especially that save it. I mean, I've been saving since I was a little kid. I have stuff that my grandfathers gave me. Like, I look at things now and I feel bad because, I mean, God has blessed me that, I'm able to, I do what I love. I love what I do. I can afford it. I can put money away, hopefully if I have a family someday and whatnot, and do different things in that respect. But I hurt for more than myself. And I hurt for the families that, because way, way, way back, I'm talking 2006. Yeah, I'm talking 18 years ago. You know, I have a family that comes up to me at Epcot that saved 14 years to go to Disney, and they may never go back. And the prices were so much better back then. And I worked at Disney, and I can be the first person to tell you Disney is different now. Disney's morals are now different now. Their values are different now. Their prices are disgusting. And I mean, you used to be able to go for under $90 to a park when I was working there. It's double. It's double on certain days now. It's 160 whatever dollars when it used to be like 87. And I saw families struggle to get there in 2006. I don't even know if that family is even thinking about it now. And that's the thing that frustrates me, Marcus, because in the world that you're living in, you know, there are people that have been good with their money, they've been smart with their investments, and yet I think we all kind of feel like we're being punished for things we didn't do, type of thing in this economy. So how do you navigate? You're a positive guy, you're a happy guy, you're somebody who has good spirits when you're talking about things and when you're talking with people. You help people to feel included and appreciated. So how do you utilize that in this world? Because there's things happening that are beyond your control, my control, the control of the people that come and talk with you. How do you get them through this and tell them, like, hey, you're not a victim of circumstance. You're not a victim of when you're like born and when you're here. Like, we're going to do some good things and we're going to make sure that you have a good time. How do you find the positive side of, you've been great with your money, sir, ma'am, we're going to figure it out?
Well, for me, it's empathy. It comes from my background. So I had a very humble upbringing. I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, and my mom, highly educated. So my mom was a dual major as well.
Yeah.
She majored in mathematics and early childhood education. My mom is a bleeding heart. So instead of becoming an engineer or working in corporate America, she decided to become a math teacher to youth in Camden because she wanted them to have access to a very competent teacher. And so they can have opportunities that potentially they might not have had without a strong base in mathematics. So I follow the same approach because my mom, even though she was a math teacher, highly educated, she didn't have the access to someone like myself that's a certified financial planner.
Yeah.
And a lot of places like Camden, Camden is very similar to other inner cities in America. The people don't have access to the knowledge on how to position themselves, no matter how much you make, to position themselves that they can achieve those goals of travel and at the same time making sure they're in position to retire well. And that's my main focus right now. Like, even though I am building out my business, I still make a conscious effort to provide education to residents in Camden because I know they have the ability. A lot of them are making good incomes. A lot of times it's just the knowledge to know where to put their money.
Yeah.
And that makes a big impact, not only to the community that they live in, but most importantly to themselves and their family's future.
Yeah, here with Marcus Coleman, Syracuse Orange defensive tackle alum, speaking on the next chapter, life after football, and so much more. What I love is, like you said, you're back in New Jersey. You're from Camden. You not only made something of your life, but you want to pay it forward. And I think the greatest thing that I can ever hear somebody say is, like, I'm out here doing something that I love, I'm doing something that I care about, and I'm going to a place where I can help. And you think about it, like, I've lived in different parts of the country, but when I decided to open my business, where did I open it? In my hometown. You're a certified financial planner. You've been going through growing and learning and evolving, and you're from New Jersey, you're from Camden, you've been to different places, but where are you back now? You're back in New Jersey. Like you said, I want to give back to the community. My mom didn't have, I mean, I think one of the most profound things you said is my mom didn't have somebody like me to help her. So now I want to make sure that other people's families have that. I want to make sure that, the little kid out there that I see myself in, that his mom and his dad have me because I didn't have that. How rewarding is that for you to not only be successful in your craft, but to go back home and say, I'm going to give other families what my mom didn't have?
It is rewarding, but I still give all honor and praise to God. I truly feel I'm just a steward of the gifts that I were blessed with. So I just feel like it's something I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
God blessed me with this gift, blessed me with a lot of opportunities, blessed me with the resources that I'm able to take care of myself and my family. And I have the ability to give back. Why not? Because uh, I received uh, someone paying it forward. My mentor I mentioned on a previous episode, Richard Hocker, who owned a financial service firm, well, asset management firm. He provided a full academic scholarship for me to attend a local private school that set me on a path to be able to dual major at Syracuse and then go into financial services and then now be where I'm at now, where I'm able to give back. So because it happened to me early in my life,
Yeah.
it set a foundation of always giving back, always be humble, always be grateful for the opportunities that you are blessed with and the resources. And when you do have that time and the ability, always pay it forward.
Yeah. And I mean, I do. I love that. And, I mean, Marcus, for you specifically, and you may not know this, but like I said, I love having anybody on, however many downs they played for Syracuse football. But you're unique in why I wanted to have you back here. And your faith, your professionalism, your desire to help other people, your passion for networking, like there's so many things that you embody that is just it's you. I mean, it's you get up, you do that. You get up, you're Marcus Coleman, you put your clothes on, you go to work, you do your thing. But I want you to know, and I was talking to somebody about this last night about telling people when they're doing something good, like saying something. Don't just like be like, oh yeah, well, like they know they're a good person, and I just want to, I'm going to be around them and hang out with them, but I'm not going to say anything. I want you to know this. I wanted you to come on the show today because I value you, and I feel like you could be an asset to anybody because of the fact that you seem to genuinely care about people and want to bring good people together. And I think that it needs to be stated publicly and to you that who you are and who you've become, I don't even think about the football player. I think about, like, Marcus has my back. I invited Marcus to celebrate 21 years of broadcasting with me, and Marcus was like, yeah, let's do it. I see a person who has wanted to link me to other people and say, like, hey, this would be good for you. This would be a good avenue for you. I just see someone who is helping other people, who is having fun, but who's never making it about themselves. And I just wanted you to know, in a world that loves to talk about negative things, I want to say thank you for having your faith. Thank you for being positive. Thank you for caring about people. And, I've been a witness to the fact that something that's maybe really simple to you means a lot to me, is you're always appreciative, you're kind, you're giving of your time, and you like to see good people win. And I just want to throw it back to you and say that as a good person, I hope that you win in everything as well.
I appreciate that, Dan. You must have saw my test. One of my love languages is words of affirmation. So, uh, so I truly appreciate it, and I mentioned it already. Already, I mean, it really comes down to my faith system. That was a huge part of my life growing up. Um, thank God for my grandma and my mother who really instilled that early on, because life is tough for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. There's days I wake up sad. I don't wake up happy every day. I wish I did, but it always goes back to my faith system and trusting on God that the opportunities that are meant for me, they will come to fruition. And the ones that are not meant for me, God has saved me from heartache and pain. And that's what gets me through every day. And that's what allows me to network with people. And like you mentioned, it's really just trying to connect good people with other good people and see what happens from it.
Yeah. So it's definitely visible, and it's definitely there, and that teamwork is there as well. I I want to get into this season so far, but before we do that, I like giving shout outs. And my mom, Debbie, and my mom's mom, my grandma on my mom's side, I call her G Mama. And she lived to be almost 101 before she went back to heaven. So when you just said, like, I want to thank my mom and I want to thank my grandma, I do that a lot. And so I want to give a shout out to those that don't know your mom's first name, grandma's first name, and just to tell me the impact that mom and grandma had on you before we get into other stuff.
Yeah, so the woman that I grew up knowing, my grandma, her name is Della Lyons. She wasn't my biological grandma. She was actually the next door neighbor to my biological grandmother. My biological grandmother passed away when my mom was 18 from scleroderma.
Sorry.
But my grandma that I knew, Della Lyons, had a strong faith system. She worked in the Kansas City School District. I always saw her evangelizing to the neighbors. Every summer, I mean, I would say at least 10 times during the summer, she had a porch. She would grill up, cook food for the neighbors. I always saw her giving back,
Yeah.
and that was a strong foundation. And then for my mom was a single mother, but like I mentioned, she was a math teacher.
Yeah.
So even though we didn't have all the money in the world, she would stay after school for hours or before school for hours, tutoring kids, always trying to, she's always trying to fill their cup with knowledge and love and remind them that they are smart. And everyone knows math is a tough subject for a lot of people. It's very abstract.
Yeah.
And to have someone like my mom, I saw her use her gift. I mean, she would read, like, my mom would read textbooks for fun. And as a kid, I didn't know that was weird until I got older. But now it really influences me. I'm always studying, but I saw my mom, like, she was just nonstop studying to give it back, not to make money. That was never her focus. But she was blessed with so many opportunities from giving back, and that was instilled in me. So, like, these two women, my grandma Della Lyons and my mom Tracy Muhammad, really really set the path for me to be who you're seeing and one that you value. And that's why I have to give them, I have to honor their impact on my life, because I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be the person that I am today without them.
Yeah. Well, they did a good job, and I know they, keep rocking and rolling, and that lives through you. And I hope you know that. You carry that with you. You carry that love with you, and it's not a burden. When my grandmother passed away, I said she's such a big light. How do I keep that light going? And it's like it's not meant to be a burden. It's like just let what she taught you live through you. Let that continue to go through your veins, and it shouldn't be any of a burden. It should just be a reminder to you to let your light shine, especially when it feels dim, because she brightened up my life every single day. My mom brightens up my life. There's people in my life that do that. I love my dad. I know my dad, we sit, and I love doing this. My dad, last night we were talking about something, and I said, "You want to pray before we get off the phone?" And my dad and I just stopped and prayed together. So, love you all, and Pops, I hope everything goes well this morning. So, hope my dad's doing good, and God bless to him as always, and everything we prayed about and more. So before we hop out of here with you, Marcus, because time flies by, I don't like that part of it. I don't like that part of life, is that life flies so much and time flies. But this 2024-25 season, Syracuse defeats Ohio, which, by the way, no slouch. People want to
Mm-hmm.
overlook that game. 10-win team back-to-back seasons in the MAC. And by the way, if people think, oh, a win over the MAC's not important, well, Syracuse won by 16. Penn State played Bowling Green in the MAC, barely won, and Notre Dame lost to a MAC team in Northern Illinois. So let's just let that, let's look at the big picture. Secondly, Georgia Tech was ranked at the time. Syracuse defeats Georgia Tech. And in the game against Stanford, it comes down to 4th and 9. It doesn't work out. Two things that I'd love to get your thoughts on. One, how the season is so far. And two, I was sitting in the room this week, yesterday, to start off the week, when other people in the media were asking Fran about 4th and 9. And what did he see and what happened and this and that. He blamed himself. And they continued to say to him, well, tell me more. And he said, well, I take responsibility. Well, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Did you do anything else besides 4th and 9 that you don't like about yourself? It was like, let me kick you, let me punch you, let me keep saying 4th and 9, 4th and 9. What'd you do on 4th and 9? When a coach stands up and says, I take responsibility. It wasn't Clarence Lewis. It wasn't any of these guys. I put my guys in that position. It was my fault. I'm the general. I told them to go out into battle. They got shot at. It's my bad. That's enough for me. That was enough for me. But they didn't stop asking him over and over and over again. And I sat in that room in the front row looking at him, talking about the offensive and defensive line and talking about the running backs and balancing the offense, because I don't believe in chastising someone or berating them. So I would love to get your thoughts on how the team's been in the first 3 games and your thoughts on a coach that takes full responsibility and the media still can't stop asking him why he was such a bad coach in that moment.
So, what I can say to that is Fran is really embodying the acronym and philosophy that he's trying to instill in his players. So, the acronym that has been in the media is DART: detailed, accountable, relentless, and tough. What Fran was showing was extreme accountability, but also toughness. The accountability to accept the decision and putting his players in that position, but then the toughness to stand in that accountability, even when the media was trying to give him an out, to be a finger pointer instead of a thumb pointer. And I learned that from Coach Schaefer. I was under Coach Schaefer, and two things he always taught was control the controllables, and be a thumb pointer and not a finger pointer. And that's what Fran is doing. And that's what's going to get his team to rally. A football season is like life, right? We were supposed to win. We were favored by 9 points. We're at home against Stanford. It didn't go our way. Toughness and accountability. After that game, I know it hurt. All right. What did we do wrong? We're going to be accountable to that. We're going to make adjustments. We're going to be tough. We're going to do the things that are hard so we don't make the mistakes going into the next game. And I can see that. I can see it in the coach. I can see it in how the guys play. You saw it in the Georgia Tech game. You saw it in the Ohio game. There was quarters when we were down to our opponents, but you saw the toughness. You saw them being relentless. And you see the detail too. There's not that many penalties. Yeah, we have some mistakes, and that happens. But the discipline and being detailed, it is showing up on the field. So from an alumni standpoint and a football junkie, looking forward, I still feel like Syracuse is in a good position. The strength of schedule, we still have a favorable strength of schedule to make a run. But I know how Fran thinks. I know how that coaching staff thinks. They're taking each opponent one at a time. So they're looking at next week, and they're putting those guys in a position to maximize their strengths, minimize their weaknesses. And I'm optimistic about the future. I still feel that Syracuse can be an 8+ win team. I will stand on that, even to the loss to Stanford. And Stanford might be a better team than people was giving them credit going into the season. They look good to me. Yeah. We thought Florida State was going to be better, and look at Florida State. They're not as good as we anticipated. So I think it was a great test for our team early in the season. Get that loss, get that pain, and based off of what I've seen on TV and the brief interactions with the coaches, I would say to the alumni base is nothing to fear. And I feel like the alumni base isn't fearing. We have a sold out crowd against Holy Cross. It's not an ACC opponent, but it's a good test for us to go out there and dominate and show the Syracuse fan base, the ACC, and the nation that we still are a team that should be feared. And we had a setback, but that's not an indication that we're about to have a losing season.
Yeah, and I agree. I had the opportunity to speak with Ashton Daniels, their starting quarterback, and a great guy of faith, awesome person. Corey Etzel, who has a connection back to Syracuse, playing quarterback under Doug Marrone. Randy Etzel, his father, who was a coach at Syracuse as well, and then went on to coach at UConn in Maryland and back to UConn. So, and he was in the building for the game. To Justin Lamson, who was a quarterback at Syracuse that transferred to Stanford. And Troy Taylor, their head coach, who's awesome. I mean, this is a guy who's like timeless. Like, he's coaching for the sheer love of the game, not for the money, not for the prowess, not for all the stuff. Like, he's coaching because he wants to be there. He wants to be there and he wants to do it. He coached high school for a long time. Like, there's a lot of really good things that are happening in Stanford, and so I agree with you that there could be more to come there. Keep in mind, folks, they barely lost to TCU. That was a really good game in their first week of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think Syracuse should panic. I laugh at people that are panicking right now. I mean, I not laugh at you. I laugh at the thought of just how irrational that is. But I think Syracuse is going to be okay. I like what Fran is doing. I appreciate him. I appreciate his faith. And, I asked him after the game about kind of just, his faith in going through adversity. And he said, I got this thing that he keeps with him that said, have the faith of a mustard seed. So I know he's going to be all right. I know the team's going to be all right. People need to just relax, and it's going to be okay. It was 2 points, so it's not what it used to be, and I think we're gonna be all right. But as always, Marcus, it's so much fun to talk with you. Like I said, it goes by way too fast. So I send you my love, and same to your family and appreciation. I'm thankful for our friendship and our connection. I hope you and I can do some more things together and keep in touch more. That would mean a lot to me. And as always, I look forward to talking with you soon. I look forward to seeing you in November for the party, and God bless to you and everybody that you interact with, and to all your loved ones.
Thank you, Dan, again for having me. It's always a great time. It's always catching up, and I look forward to seeing you in November. Go Orange, and I have to finish off with this. Go Birds, baby. We're going to figure it out. We're going to the Super Bowl this year.
All right. That coming from an Eagles fan. All right, Marcus. Be good, man. Stay safe. I'll talk with you soon.
Bye-bye.
See you. That coming once again from Marcus Coleman of Syracuse Orange football history. And we appreciate Marcus so very much. We're going to get Jerry Cummiskey on the broadcast here in just a moment. And so we are getting that all set up as we look for the opportunity to have Jerry here on the show. We thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a quick step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in '07, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those are all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am very grateful for our partnership with Binghamton University and the Bearcats. We call it Bearcat Time every Tuesday right around 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so I am honored and privileged to be picture here with Jerry Cummiskey of the Binghamton University Bearcats men's and women's swimming and diving team, their head coach here inside of the 2024 season for this edition of the Bearcat Break Room. Jerry, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, to have you here this morning on the broadcast inside of Bearcat Time, I think it's important to look at your journey personally and how you got to Binghamton University. I know you spent some time there. You've had some success over these past few seasons. But what was the road of dominoes, so to speak, that got you to Binghamton?
Sure. I guess going back to even, my college career, I was interested in maybe going into athletic training. Started that year one and just didn't really love it. Thought, traveling a lot, working nights and weekends wasn't what I wanted to do. So made a transition there to try to be more of a phys ed teacher and coach a bit and maybe lifeguard in the summers, and sounded pretty good. And then post college, just got into coaching and kind of found my way doing some club coaching. And then got an opportunity, close to home at Bryant University. And I was there for 6 years and learned a lot and really kind of led me here. Even when I looked at Binghamton initially, when this opportunity opened, it wasn't necessarily something I thought um, that I'd really do. I liked being a Rhode Islander and was kind of set in my ways. And then, once I got here and saw campus, just saw the possibilities of what this team could be and what a great place it is. So, it's been a quick 5+ years here and we enjoy it.
You talked about Bryant University being close to home and out in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and you said, being a proud Rhode Islander, you thought that was kind of where you were going to be. You're not by a body of water in Binghamton. So
Nope.
how did you transition? Like you said, as a proud Rhode Islander, what was it about Binghamton? Like you said, Bryant close to home, in having that familial community. Why did Binghamton speak to you enough to make you challenge yourself out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I think it was just a variety of things in terms of the timing was right. I was ready for kind of a new challenge. And I saw kind of the pieces in place with the team before I got here that, they'd been pretty good. I felt like the opportunity was there with such great academics and New York swimming being very strong that we could get some good kids here and continue to grow. So it just seemed like, the right fit where we could have some success. We had done really well at Bryant, so we were used to competing for championships, and that was something I didn't want to give up. It was just really the timing was right to try something new. I have a little bit of family here, so that made it a little bit easier to come here and have some familiar faces and work through it that way. But certainly miss being near the water, but get some chances during the summer to go home and take advantage of it.
What's been your favorite part, Jerry, of Binghamton's community, of Vestal, New York, and the Southern Tier? What sticks out to you?
The people are great. We found our way kind of on the west side, a lot of easygoing people, and it's just kind of a smooth way of life. I go back to the Northeast and sit in traffic some days and get a little frustrated here. That doesn't exist. I've got a blinking yellow light on my way to work and it's pretty easy. So just the pace of life has been nice. To be able to come and go from campus, being, probably 3 miles from here, it's made that balance, a lot more obtainable.
I'm always a fan of what's in the room, and here inside of my studio, everything that's on camera and off camera has meaning and a purpose. So I'm looking behind you, I'm seeing some hats, I'm seeing what looks like a run of some pictures, I'm seeing a bunch of papers over your shoulder and your whiteboard. So bring me into your office, how you would describe your office and what notables are there for you, because I also call something controlled chaos, where I have to have a certain, like, there might be a stack of papers somewhere, but it's because that napkin that I wrote on and that back of the envelope that I wrote on, if I don't have it in front of me, I'll forget about it. So bring me into your office and how you would describe it and kind of what the makeup is.
Sure. I definitely have my stack of scrap paper and notes and things to get done, to my side here. And I've got a couple photos and banners from some of our championship seasons and team photos. And the rest of it is a lot of New England sports memorabilia. I got Fenway Park behind me and Gillette Stadium and some championship posters from the years. So a lot of the New Yorkers that we recruit don't love coming in here and seeing all the New England stuff. But it just makes me feel at home. So
I have to ask you this. I am a Jaguar fan.
Okay.
I've been a Jaguar fan since they started back in '95. I was with the team, covering the team in Foxborough a few years back. And so one step out of the Super Bowl and New England went forward. Jacksonville did not. It was their third trip to the AFC Championship game, but they have yet to be to a Super Bowl. So my question to you is, I know that you and I have not met face to face, but do you want to give me some positive energy? Maybe an apology. So, but
it's funny. I can remember that night, that AFC Championship game. We used to host a big Super Bowl party at our house, and I was at a club meet, I remember, in Worcester, and was driving back while that game was going on.
Yeah.
And listening on the radio, and they were losing, and all I could think was like, oh man, this Super Bowl party is going to be so much lamer without the Patriots in it. It was just so angry. And then as they caught up, I think I got home to see the last 5 minutes of the game, and that Super Bowl was a lot more fun. So
yeah, no, I mean it was definitely great to be there. But I will say this, and I'm guessing you've been to Gillette Stadium.
Yep.
So going to Foxborough, going to Gillette, and I actually told this story yesterday to a bunch of Bills fans. I said, when I was walking into the stadium, I looked down at the ground and I saw my reflection, and I had my laptop bag over my shoulder, and I looked down and I saw that shadow. So it is not reflection. I saw the shadow, and when I looked up, the building was right there. I was a few steps out. And I'll never forget this. I looked down, saw my shadow, looked up, saw it, and as I walked forward, something inside of me said, this is different. I felt like I was walking into the belly of the beast. I felt like this was a place where very few people come out with a victory, and just the air felt tangible and it felt different. And when I was describing this to people yesterday, they're like, I can feel it. Like I could feel it in the hair on my arm. Can you parallel me in that respect? I mean, I'm looking at it from the side of like a Jaguars fan, but when I went there as a broadcaster, right, I'm an impartial broadcaster, I could feel, I've been into a lot of arenas and a lot of different sports by the grace of God. This felt different. Like I can feel when I describe it. Do you get that sense of it? Does Gillette feel like just a different place?
Yeah, I think so. And I think certainly during that 20-year run, it definitely did. I don't know. I haven't been back in the last couple of years. It might not feel the same now, but in those great years with Brady and Belichick, like you just had, even the fans, the crowd, everyone had that like sense of like, no one's going to beat us. Like it's very unlikely. And, even you read the stories the pros say of kind of coming up in Foxborough. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So like,
yeah,
as they've built it up, it's not the same anymore, but they used to just drive down this kind of wooded road, and all of a sudden the stadium comes out of nowhere, and it's kind of like, where are we? So it's always had that kind of allure. And I think just them being so good for so long, they knew they were supposed to beat you. The fans knew it. So everyone kind of had that expectation and that confidence, which I think just kind of built it up even more.
So this is my all-important question to you before we jump into this season with Binghamton swimming and diving. Drake May, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Milton III. Who's your quarterback if you're the head coach? If you're Gerard Mayo, who's your quarterback?
Right now?
Yeah.
I think you got to stick with Brissett just because the lines look so terrible. If they can figure that out, I think you want to get Drake May some time if he's going to be your guy next year, so he's better for it next year. And Milton is intriguing. I don't know that he's the answer, but he's certainly fun to watch. So, I'd almost be inclined to see him play before May if the line's not right.
Yeah, and one of my predictions at the beginning of the season is that we would see him either in a goal line or a special package that Joe Milton will play as a true freshman coming out of Tennessee. Got an arm on him too. So getting into the pool, Jerry, when did this become a passion, a thing? I mean, swimming and diving is such a unique world, and I've been around it for many years. And my mom got me in the water when I was, in a diaper. Like she taught me how to swim, and then I taught my cousins how to swim. Like I could live in the pool. So when did this start for you that you were like, hey, this is special. This is unique. Like, let's go back to the beginning of when this really kind of meant something
Right.
more to you.
Yeah, I think I was similar in the sense of, my parents got me in the water at a young age. And a lot of like a lot of our swimmers, the kids we recruit, started swimming at 5 or 6 competitively, which wasn't my path. I took lessons, stayed in the water, but growing up, I enjoyed playing baseball, basketball. Would have loved to have played basketball probably through high school, but just um, was too competitive. So probably around 11, 12, I started to swim and play other sports. And then once I got to high school, decided to focus on swimming, and was lucky enough, like when I went to high school, I went to Bishop Hendricken in Rhode Island. We had at one point won like 24 straight state championships. So,
Yeah.
we won every year. It was fun to be a part of that. As a freshman, you come in and you're just kind of a part of it. And then by your senior year, you're kind of the major contributors to keeping that thing going. And I think my senior year, I was 18 years old. It was our 18th win in a row. It was kind of cool to be a part of something that, had spanned my lifetime at that point. And was lucky I had a mentor. My high school coach was a great mentor, and still is. And from there decided to swim in college, and through college, even though I knew I wanted to do phys ed, thought I'd like to coach in some respect, maybe just high school or something, and never taught a day. I got into coaching right away and really kind of loved it. And, a lot of the same things as teaching, but just a little bit of a different schedule, a little bit more competitive, and have loved it.
Yeah. And for you, I mean, did you ever see that world for you specifically to be a coach when you got into it and you focused on it in high school? And like you said, all these championships and the success and experiencing that as a freshman and kind of going through it during your time at high school and so on and so forth. Did you get an inkling at one point that you're like, I like to teach, I like to swim, maybe these things are going to bond together? Did that grow within you at a young age, or when did that happen?
Probably not until college. As I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I always knew, I never loved school. I never wanted to kind of have a desk job, sitting in the same spot 9 to 5 all day. So, I knew that was some part of the equation. I didn't know it would be coaching. I never thought, certainly even in college, that I'd coach, at this level, but just kind of fell into it. Some things fell, timing wise for me, where I was able to get an opportunity at Bryant. Our grad assistant when I swam at Springfield College took a job at Wheaton College in Massachusetts and asked me to help him out. So that kind of got me into, collegiate swimming, and it was really kind of just lucky timing of him asking, and then an opportunity opening at Bryant when I was making a transition with the club team, and it all kind of just fell in line. So, it almost happened, I guess, in some ways by accident, to start.
Well, you make your way over to Binghamton in 2019, and then this little tiny pandemic happens, right? This little barely affected anybody. But no, I mean, this pandemic, this worldwide shutdown and masks and change and all of this stuff. How did you navigate through that? I mean, you had accepted your first ever opportunity as a head coach. You come into a school that you've never been to. You're the new leader at Binghamton University for men's and women's swimming and diving, and then the world stops. Bring me into that.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky in terms of timing. The pandemic didn't really hit until after our championship meet had concluded. So we got lucky in that sense of we had a full season. We kind of laid the groundwork. Coming in my first year, we had a great group of seniors that really bought into something new and how we were going to do things, which made that transition to a new staff really easy for us. They wanted to do well. They wanted to be successful. So that made that transition very easy. And then fast forwarding to that next fall, we had 27 freshmen in that class. So it was like a whole new team. And then, you add the restrictions of we could only have a certain amount of people in a lane or in the pool. And so we had practice all day, and it was, definitely a new normal for a while and a challenge. I think at some point we got sent home before Thanksgiving, and then, came back and had kind of a non-traditional season that spring, you know, when the men ended up winning, you know, the conference for the first time in almost 20 years. So, you know, I think we just were able to manage it well enough that year. I think it, you know, it was hard for everybody, and we had a good group. And I think having a big freshman class that didn't know what normal was before that, at least here, helped. You know, but I can remember we were out in Cleveland for basically the NIT meet for swimming. The week everything shut down, and we were out to dinner and saw on the TV that the NBA was postponing the season.
Yeah.
And we were at this meet, and we're like, oh, that's probably not good for us. And we go to the meet the next day, and they kind of said, well, everyone's here. We're all on deck around each other. We're going to run the meet as normal. Teams are getting pulled home left and right. And then between the sessions, they said, tonight's going to be it. We're going to be done after tonight. So we left campus. Everyone was here, and we got back like 3 days later, and there was not a soul on campus. So it was a little eerie.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you experienced it really similar to me, is that the NBA stopped. I was supposed to leave the next day to the ACC tournament down in North Carolina. They decided to stop.
Right.
And when I saw, well, I'm sorry, it was the NHL, it was the NBA and the NHL, and there was like this agreement, like, okay, we're all going to come together and halt. And then the ACC did it, and then other conferences followed suit. It was so strange and so eerie, but like you said, you had success within that. I'm going to run through a few things. So, Jerry, you get comfortable in your seat, because I have a lot of positive things to talk about for your team, and the list is long, and I blame all of your student athletes for that. So let's get into what's happened since you've been there. Going into this season for 2024-25, Binghamton Bearcats men's and women's swimming and diving under Jerry Cummiskey, their head coach. Let's hop into where we're at here. So a lot of awesome things to build upon. We have seen 13 men's school records, 11 women's program marks that have been set over 5 seasons, 10 Binghamton men's freshman records. We've seen seven women's freshman records since 2020, and also 44 men's all-conference selections, 16 all-conference selections for the women's side of things. The Bearcats have had a combined men's and women's 20 America East all-academic selections. On the women's side, we've seen 4 all overall titles at the 2024 America East meet. And also we have seen that you have aided the Bearcat men's team to the 2021 and 2024 America East championships as the first conference crown since 2003. And at the conclusion of each meet, Cummiskey headed up the America East men's coaching staffs of the year. Since 2020, the men's squad has won 29 America East individual and relay titles and has posted 8 conference records. This is your 6th season. There's a lot of great things to be had, especially in recent history in 2021 and in 2024. So bring me into how all this comes about, Jerry. I mean, you love the pool, you love basketball, you love playing other sports, you focus on swimming in high school, you go into college, you start thinking about maybe I could be a coach. I don't want to just sit and have a desk job. I want to be able to do something where I could teach and be able to move around. You go to Bryant University, you stay close to home as an associate head coach. You come to become a head coach at Binghamton. And since you've come in, really, we have seen success upon success and so many amazing things to build on, not just with the veteran student athletes, but with your freshman student athletes for men's and women's. So how does this all come about? How does this all happen that we have had sustained success and very recent success in the pool at Binghamton University?
You know, I think a lot of the foundation of how we train and, you know, the work we put in it is kind of based off of, you know, what I learned in my career and certainly, you know, through what we did at Bryant. You know, some of what we do is very similar to what we did there. You know, but I think it all boils down to we've been able to get some really great kids here, you know, that have had talent coming in, but are also hungry to get better and work. And, just through the years, as we've kind of brought in some good kids, that they've just raised the bar of how we train on a daily basis. And they're willing to put the work in to get better. And swimming can be grueling, and we beat them down, and it's not always a lot of fun, but they do a good job of staying positive and embracing, the work we need to put in to see the results at the end. And I think now that we've won twice, and, the expectation is that we win and continue to move up on the women's side in the conference, that, they're hungry for more. I think the main, strength that we have is our kids. We've got a lot of great, hardworking kids that do extremely well academically. We don't have to really worry too much about what they're doing in the classroom, because they're very focused on what they're doing after their time here, which is great. Our team GPA is always right around 3.5, which is, really good considering all the time they're putting in and everything, and the amount of engineering and challenging majors we have. So, but we've got a group of kids that want to keep getting better, and in our sport, that's the name of the game.
And I want to take a look at the rosters and the makeup, and I'll start with the men.
Yep.
North Dakota, Illinois, multiple student athletes from Illinois, from Pennsylvania, as well as New Zealand. And of course, I want to make sure Wisconsin, the state of Washington, Connecticut, and we have seen obviously the state of New York, from the Flushings and the Port Jefferson stations to Pittsford to right there in Binghamton with Tyler and Amir, and Miller Place as well. Rush, New York, Waterford, Jamestown, Pittsford again, Elijah from Binghamton, Scarsdale, New York, Hewlett, New York, pardon me on that one, and Queens, I didn't think that would trip me up, Del Mar, as well as Horseheads. So when we look at the makeup of this men's team, and we have right there in the backyard of Binghamton, and then we have all throughout the state of New York, but then we have Washington, we have North Dakota, we have the Midwest when it comes to Illinois, and then you have other Northeast areas as well. Bring me into, and New Zealand, just how you create this makeup, and the reality that it seems like Binghamton's really willing to go anywhere and to outstretch those recruiting bridges to wherever you find the right people.
Yeah, I think when we're recruiting, we're looking for guys that can come in and help us in a certain spot, certain event, and we're willing to work with anybody that wants to be here and has interest and can help us. And from there, it's just a puzzle of trying to make it work for everyone and get everyone here and build the best group we can. I think we're lucky, obviously, with the in-state tuition for New Yorkers, for the value and the education you're getting here at Binghamton. It's hard to beat, especially with private schools upwards of $90,000 a year this year.
Yeah,
we can get a New Yorker through in 4 years for less than that. So, that sells itself. We get a lot of kids that are interested in school management or engineering or some of our sciences that, the academics are what leads them to us, and then we're able to kind of make it work for them. So, we've had kids from all over. We haven't had as many internationals, but certainly willing if we can make it work. And, it's great to see the guys kind of come together and mesh and have one goal. But I think a lot of it is just the university is sells itself in some regards.
Yeah, and when you talk about the university selling itself, before I jump into the women's team and their makeup on the roster this season, what is it about Binghamton University that you think is the best sell, is the best thing to put forward when you're speaking to a potential student athlete coming in?
Yeah, I think the combination of, great academic offerings for a really good price, and at the end of the day, swimming or whatever sport or whatever they do here is a piece of them being here. But, the goal is to set them up to be successful, 4 years from now. And I think this place does that. I think all of our kids just about in the last 5 years have had a job or been accepted into grad school before our season even ends, never mind before they graduate. So, just their focus on their career and what's next, has been great. And I think this place does a great job of setting them up to be successful. And if we can do a good job and make them faster swimmers or better divers while they're here, then, great. But at the end of the day, what they're going to do after here is the main point.
Yeah. And building that toward the future and building that bridge, obviously incredibly important, and being an Olympic sport. Do you put that in the back of your mind? I mean, we've just seen Binghamton send someone from women's track to the Olympics who not only was at Binghamton University, speaking on Emily, but the fact that she grew up right there in the neighborhood, right around the campus of Binghamton University. So do you think about that? Like you said, the most important thing is getting them an education and sending them out that way. If we help them to be faster swimmers or better divers, that's great, but we're looking at the bigger picture. Do you keep that in the back of your mind when you have some student athletes come through? Like, there could be a future for some of these people when it comes to the Olympics. I mean, is that something that you key in on and realize that there could be more life? And we've already seen it happen with Binghamton.
Yeah, I think we've got kids who have some goals of Olympic trials or whatever for, higher level swimming. And that kind of just depends on what their goals are. We've got 6 or 7 local kids this year. Kind of the youth and club swimming around here isn't as big as it is in other areas of the, my light shut off, areas of the state. So, I think they've got a lot of potential, which is nice. And Eli's obviously a great example of that. And Maria, of kids who have come here and really just kind of blossomed when this has become their main sport or main season. So, we'll try to accommodate and get kids to the highest level that we can and they want to be. And, again, when I was at Bryant, we had a guy who, swam for Guam in the Olympics, carried the flag. That was a pretty cool moment for us, but really just depends. It's so hard as an American swimmer to make the Olympic team, never mind qualify to even go to trials. So certainly a goal to start sending some kids to trials and then go from there.
Yeah, and before I let you go, we're gonna play some rapid fire, Jerry, where we get to put each other on the hot seat. Could be swimming related, could be literally anything: food, music, movies, TV, pastimes, childhood. But before we go there, to look at your women's roster for swimming and diving, obviously the state of New York is well represented, but there's some other places that you've reached out to beyond what we've seen statewide or worldwide. On the men's side, we have Maryland added in here on the women's team, as well as Portugal that I'm seeing, the state of New Jersey with multiple student athletes. We have Utah and Massachusetts, and we have also gotten, I want to make sure, Missouri is represented in this as well. And of course, like I said, so many places in the state of New York and Lafayette, Colorado with Celia. Just what you could say in that respect. I mean, when we put together men's and women's swimming and diving, what I've seen at multiple Division I levels is that there's a head coach overseeing all of it. And what people don't fully maybe understand in your job that I think can't go underappreciated is that it's men's swimming, men's diving, women's swimming, women's diving. You have 4 teams all within one. So all around the country, around the world, you're looking for these student athletes. But I'd love to get to your staff as well, because we have Maddie and Jesus and Heather and Dave and Lori. What can you say about the support that you have, knowing that you are literally running 4 teams at once, and that is no small task by any stretch of the imagination?
Sure. We definitely rely on our staff to do what they can to help our program. I think starting with, Lori, our strength and conditioning coach, she's been with our team, I think, 18 years. And I think in the sport of swimming, you often see, interns or the new person, working with the swim team. So to have Lori, who knows the ins and outs of how we want to lift, how we want to train, when we want to peak, and let her to be able to kind of just run the show there without having to worry, are they getting what they need, is huge. So that's been, a huge help for us. Dave, Maddie, Jesus are all new to us this year. So we're working through, that transition of, learning the recruiting and the training and all the ins and outs of the back end of what we do as coaches away from the pool deck. So it's been great. The first month here has been really good. Heather, our diving coach, is my wife. We just had a baby 3 weeks ago, so she's out for a little while. So, working through that piece as well, both at home and here. And then, we were lucky for the last 5 years with Coach Mike, who's now coaching club in Indiana. He was great, and did a lot of the recruiting and was great on deck with our team and really helped us, get to where we are now. And now we're looking to, continue to build on that. Maddie's been a great addition. She's fit in well and done well so far this first month and a half that she's been here. And we're looking forward to, keeping it going.
You spoke on your wife, Heather, being out. You just had a baby within these past few weeks. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. What has that been like for you you and your wife working together and building a future together? And what has all of this brought to, your life? Because it is unique to have a husband and wife, working hand in hand. And now when you throw a baby in the mix and a future swimmer or diver or both, how have you navigated through all of that and just, what it's like being a dad here in these first few weeks?
Sure. In terms of navigating it, it's kind of is what it is. We've worked through it and we do very well together. And I think, the dynamics between swimming and diving makes it doable in the sense of she's doing her thing with the divers and we're doing our thing with the swimmers. So it's all together, but at the same time, it doesn't cross over too much where, I'm very concerned with what she's doing because she's been here 10 years doing what she's done at a high level. So much like Lori, it's nice to not really have to worry about it. And obviously we spend a lot of time together, during the day here and at home, but it's been great, and transitioning now these 3 weeks, she's made it easy. She's kind of been a champ and been taking care of the baby overnight and waking up with her. And I try to do the early mornings and help out as much as I can to get her some sleep. But, we've been lucky. We've had some help from family and she's picked up a lot of the slack. But, it's definitely changed perspective in terms of life and trying to get home and get out of practice, as quickly as we can after we're done in terms of, we've got guys that like to linger and do their pull-ups, which is great. But, at the end, it's ready to go and lock up so we can get out of here. But, it's been good. We enjoy it and, we'll see what happens down the road.
And what's your baby's name?
Chesney.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
We saw some lists as we were looking through it. It was on a list. We both love Kenny Chesney and, it's just kind of a cute name that we ended up liking and, decided to go with it.
Well, my best to obviously to you and Heather and to Chesney and to this future together that's just begun. Yeah, no, that's the most important thing, right? And I think Binghamton, what I've seen from student athletes and coaches and, people in leadership is that family's important. And that's good for me to see because some schools don't have that. Some schools don't focus on the bigger thing and the main thing. Let's jump into rapid fire. You get to ask me the first question. It can be anything in the world. And we're only live on video and audio to people all around this country and the world, Jerry. So be gentle. What do you have for me?
Got to ask the first question. All right. Well, I haven't seen any of these shows before. So what led you to the Syracuse area or doing the show?
Yeah, I love the short story of the long version of the last 20 years, almost 21 years is I love telling stories. I have a photographic memory. So I collected cards as a kid. I didn't realize that I was flipping them over and memorizing what I was seeing. And so I just started talking about it. And I love making people laugh. I love bringing people together. I have a strong faith in God. I would consider myself to be a positive person. So, and I like and I like being a storyteller. So from telling stories to making people laugh to the photographic memory to being a positive person, it bonded me with this, like, I'm not afraid of a microphone. You can put me in a room with a million people and have me on stage and everybody staring at me, and I'm going to go stand on stage and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what I do. So, I got into it because of all of those things kind of coming together. I want to make a positive difference. I wanted to not have a job in my life. I wanted to have a livelihood. I wanted to have something that's just me being me, with or without the microphone. I don't change my voice. I don't take opinions so that people can yell at me or listen. So I don't have to remember what I said because I don't lie. And, I think that what I've learned since joining in this world of media is that telling the truth is a rarity. Caring about people sometimes feels like a rarity. And humanity is a rarity. So I got in for a lot of other reasons. And now when I look at it, I'm like, I feel like I have even more of a responsibility to show people what media is supposed to be and to create a safe space for athletes and coaches and just people in general, to let them know that there is someone that is going to never change their words, distort their reality, and is always going to speak to them with respect, and on and off camera is going to make sure that they are not misrepresented, essentially.
Nice. Excellent.
So my question back to you, Jerry. What is the one food that you would swim relays for if they told you, if you had to be in a pool for just like an hour, just going a nonstop, what's the one food that you would put your body on the line for?
Probably easily pizza.
Okay.
My favorite pizza place back in Providence, Tommy's Pizza, closed. They've got a second location that's not quite the same, but it would have been Tommy's Pizza.
Tommy's Pizza. All right. Do you have
Absolutely.
a specific pizza you get there?
Just their plain old cheese.
I tell people all the time, if I'm going somewhere I've never been before, I get the cheese, because if you mess up cheese pizza, you gotta do something else. So
Yeah.
what's your second one for me?
Interesting. Well, we're talking swimming and diving. Have you ever had any experience competitively swimming?
So when I was growing up, I was at OCC, Onondaga Community College, ran this program, and there was 4 levels. And so I got through level 1, I got through level 2, level 3, level 4 was diving. And they only took a few kids, and you had to like make the cut or whatever. And it's funny because I just kind of did whatever like they asked me to do. I didn't think about like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. I probably should go back to that moment when I overthink, because I didn't overthink in the pool. I don't think I've ever overthought in the pool. And I made it to the final level, and I go back to that moment. My best friend didn't make it, so I didn't go do it. And I think to myself, like, it was such an honor to get there that I probably should have seen it through. But, I guess I would say that was competitive back then. But, being in the pool, I compete with myself every day. If I'm on vacation, I'm in the water for like 8 hours. And I literally go down to the pool and people lay out, whatever. I'll lay out for 5 minutes, and then I'm in the pool for as long until dinner or we go somewhere. And I think one of the best compliments is my mom and my ex saying that they think I was born in the water. And I will, if you pay attention to me, I will find a distant part of the pool, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go underwater, not going to come up for a breath, and I'm going to challenge myself to get all the way there. and then I'll start like doing different challenges. So personally, I'm always trying to see how well I can do. I love swimming underwater, so I always like to see how well I could do with that. But probably the competitive was when we were going through levels, and I was part of a very tiny group that was chosen to get to the end at OCC, which I'm honored because, you know, my mom's the one that taught me, so I got to give her credit for that.
Okay.
Nice. My question back to you, Jerry, is if you had to jump into the world of any TV show and you got to be a part of that show as a character, what TV show would you want to live your life in, and why?
Wow. That's a good one. Trying to think of some of the TV shows I enjoyed. I might go with The Sopranos.
Okay.
Just in the sense of it's, you know, I guess being a part of that world would be completely different and seems like it would be pretty cool, you know, to, you know, see that side of life, especially, you know, what you see in that show. So I would guess maybe that, you know, they didn't often seem to be at work. So I guess maybe that would be a fun life, but yeah.
All right. Fair enough. That coming from Jerry Cummiskey here, the head coach of the men's and women's swimming and diving teams at Binghamton University for the Bearcats. A lot of success that we have seen since 2019. Looking forward to more this season, and definitely appreciate the team being hard at work. To all of your student athletes and to your coaching staff, as well as to Heather and to Chesney. God bless to you all, and thank you for taking time here on the show today, Jerry, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to hopefully getting to see you face-to-face soon and to continued success with your programs.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
See you. That coming once again from Jerry Cummiskey here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, in this edition of the Bearcat Break Room and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. We'll take a step aside, our final step aside of the show. We'll come back with the ingredients to success right after this, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call. Thanks for hanging with us. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're gonna be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever gonna have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Zelmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find them open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. GG Cards and Breaks, it's just different to me. There's just that care and that appreciation. They love collecting cards, and when I say they, I'm speaking of Josh and Anthony that are there running the ship. They
enjoy collecting. They're opening up packs and boxes. They have their personal collection. They have the stuff that they like to put out there and, put in the display case. You never know what they're going to find. You never know what's going to come into the store. You never know what's going to leave the store. So from packs to boxes to graded cards to singles, autograph cards, one-of-ones, rookie patch autos, aka the RPAs. There's so many awesome things at GG Cards and Breaks, and it's just so much fun to connect us to the characters that we love, the games that we love, and to the players and sports that we love, and the teams that mean so much to us. Find out the difference about how this sports card and trading card shop just truly is special by going in there to 639 Delmar Place, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Jumping into the ingredients to success that we end every single broadcast with on Tuesday, proudly presented by Avicoli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Head out to Avicoli's now 7 days a week. They used to be open Tuesday through Sunday. Then they added Monday in, so they're open 7 days a week now for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, drink responsibly. You can find them on their casual pizza side as well as their fine dining side and the bar connected to the fine dining piece. You can also call them for takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. 5100. You can also order online by going to myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. And you can find it on the website on wakeupcalldt.com. Underneath the partnership tab, you can go right to Avicolis, or on our homepage of wakeupcalldt.com, you can see the Avicolis logo. Click on it, and you can actually order from Avicolis through our website. So you go to wakeupcalldt.com, click on Avicolis logo, it brings you to myavicolis.com, and now all of a sudden your pizza and wings are on their way. So make sure you head over there today and show some love to Avicolis, great local place. Today is about the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And as crazy as that sounds to us when we say it out loud, how many of us actually do it? How many of us actually practice the definition of insanity in our daily lives, right? We keep thinking that someone's going to change. We keep thinking, well, we've told this person to do this over and over and over again, so why aren't they doing it? We told them to do it, and we told them to do it, and we told them to do it, and 10 years went by, and they're still not doing it. Why are they not doing it? And my response back to you is, folks, in the world that we live in today, and in the world that we've always lived in, the reality of life is as such. You cannot make anyone say or do anything that they don't want to say or do. And the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. What if you have a family member that just doesn't have any personal responsibility? They don't take care of things. They come and they visit you and they just wreak havoc on your house. And you say, well, I told them not to do it, and 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 then 12 years pass by, and then 15, and then 20 years pass by. My response to you is, well, if you've asked them to do something and they've refused to do it, then I would tell them, the next time that you come into town, stay in a hotel. That's what I would say. Because then they would have to spend money, right? They would have to spend money. They would have to inconvenience themselves. They would have to find a hotel that accommodates the things that they need. And now all of a sudden they're going, well, now I'm being inconvenienced. And you say, correct, just like you've inconvenienced me. So in order for you, because the definition of insanity is I keep asking you to clean up after yourself and you're not. So now if I say to you, you can't stay here unless you clean up after yourself. Now I've put our relationship in a situation where you didn't care about inconveniencing me. But now that I'm inconveniencing you, you don't like that. And when you don't like that, maybe that's my way of getting through to you. Because the definition of insanity is for me to keep telling you to clean up after yourself, but I've made your life way too easy. So now if I ask you to have some adversity, maybe that'll create it, because I don't want you to stay in a hotel. I want you to stay with me. But I have to change the way I speak to you, and I have to change the terms of you coming into town in order to get through to you. See, in life, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and nothing's getting better, we can't really logically expect things to be good. Because Why would they be? We have to call ourselves to do better, to ask better. We have to call ourselves to change when we need to change, to evolve when we need to evolve. An offense can't keep running the ball up the middle if the team has against you has stopped it and stopped it and stopped it and stopped it. Maybe you got to pitch the ball. Maybe you got to fake it. Maybe you got to play action. Maybe you got to flea flicker. Maybe you have to start passing the ball a little bit more. See, in life, you have to adjust. I'm not saying you have to change the person you are, but you have to evolve that person. I have things that happen with software and equipment in the studio. I had things this morning that were frustrating me. I'm going, well, I've changed this and I've done this and I've done that. Why is this happening? Some of this is out of my control, and I don't want to give this up and I don't want to change this, but I might have to, because I keep saying to myself, well, I'm using this and I'm sticking with this because I paid for this. But if it's not the best thing for me and it's causing me a hassle and it's consistently frustrating me as much as I paid for it, if there's something better out there that's going to alleviate my issues that I'm dealing with, then I need to be open-minded. Instead of waking up every morning and going, well, this is doing this, and this is doing this, and this is doing this, and it keeps doing this. It keeps making this happen. It keeps making that happen. If you know the things you need to do, then you have to do those things. And sometimes you don't know exactly what we need to do, but what we can't do is keep going in the same place. You know, I've worked with businesses that had bad business practices, and I kept asking them, like, please do right by me. Please do right by me. You don't get a message. You don't get a message. Then you get a message and it's disrespectful. Then you get a message and it doesn't have an answer. Then you get a message and there's no rhyme or reason. There's nothing, there's no plan. And then you try again, and then you try again, and then you try again. And then 2 months go by and you say to yourself, I'm chasing a ghost. Cut ties. Move on. Right? In anything in life, if we continue to say the same things and do the same things and it's not getting through to that person, it's not affecting that relationship, you have to adjust. You cannot control if someone's going to do their job. You cannot control if someone's going to show up. You cannot control if someone's going to care. You cannot control if someone's going to honor their commitment to you, professionally or personally. But what you can do is state that this is what you need. And when those needs are not met and those things are not happening, you have to be able to make decisions in those places. If I have a guest that I ask to come on the show, and 4 out of 5 times that I ask them to come on the day that they're supposed to come on, they don't answer their phone, then in my head, I'm either pre-recording the segment with them or I'm not asking them to come on anymore. I'm not going to keep doing it hoping that it works out someday. See, in life, we continue to do that. A lot of us continue to do that. We think about our morals, our values, the things that are important to us, and we keep saying, why is this person not giving me what I need, what I would give to them? And you either have to change the way you're talking to that person, you have to set stricter parameters. I mean, you have to tell people, when you say to somebody, if you put your hand in the cookie jar, you know, I'm going to slap the hand. And I'm not saying to actually slap the hand, but I'm saying, if you put your hand in the cookie jar, I'm going to slap your hand. Put the hand in the cookie jar, I'm going to slap your hand. But every time they put their hand in the cookie jar, all we say is that we're going to slap it, but we never actually slap the hand. Do you think that person's ever going to stop putting their hand in the cookie jar? So you either need to stop putting cookies in there so they keep putting their hand in the cookie jar, but the next time they put their hand in the cookie jar, they're going to feel around and there's nothing in there. There's not even crumbs in there. Now, you've changed it, okay? You asked them to stop putting their hand in the cookie jar, but the definition of insanity is to keep filling the cookie jar, tell them to stop doing it, and then watch them eat the cookies right in front of you. So you either take the cookies out the jar, or you tell that person, you put your hand in the cookie jar one more time, you're not coming back to the house. I'm going to put a lock on the cookies, right? You have to do something. Take the cookies out of the cookie jar, tell the person they're not coming over, put a lock around the cookie jar. The things that matter to you and that are important to you and the things that you value, You have to stick up for yourself, and you have to be willing to understand that sometimes you have to adjust. Because the thing is, when somebody doesn't do what we want them to do, when somebody doesn't say what we want them to say, when they don't show up the way that we would show up, when they don't do the things that we hope that they would do, we just sit there and wait for times to change. But the reality of it all is, if someone's going to do something and someone's going to say something, then that's what they're going to do and that's what they're going to say. And very rarely are they going to stop doing or saying it. So you have a choice. You either adjust the way you respond to it, adjust the way that you think about it, distance yourself from the situation. There's a lot of different avenues you can take, but the one thing you can't do is just sit there and hope that it's going to change. So I'm giving you some tough love today, and I'm giving me some tough love today, because the reality of it all is there's some relationships in your life that you may need to get rid of, and there's some relationships in your life that you maybe need to be more clear about what matters to you in, and there's some relationships in your life where you need to adjust. You have to determine what is important to you, and you have to determine, see, if you're a consistent person, right? If you're like, well, I asked this person for respect, but I don't ask that person for respect. No, you got to be a consistent person. What are the things that matter to you? What are the things that you would ask of yourself and that you would ask of anybody? And if you have things that you ask of people, and there's 15 people in your life and you ask everybody to respect you, but these 3 people don't, let me tell you something. If those 12 people find out, some of those people might start disrespecting you, knowing that those other people are getting away with it. So you need to be consistent. You need to be strong. And I'm not saying it's easy. And you have to draw clear lines, not in the sand, because sand moves. You have to draw clear lines. And when those lines are crossed, you have to make decisions that are best for you. Not disrespectfully, not in a mean way, not in a I'm better than you. But if you want to make the most of the life that God gave you, you got to be able to stick up for the things that matter to you. And you have to be able to adjust when they're not met. And you have to be able to say goodbye when they're not met consistently. Those are the ingredients to success. Proudly presented by the fantastic team at Avicoli's, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right down the road from Liverpool High School. And every single month, we're there on site at Avicoli's with the Liverpool Warriors, telling the stories of student athletes, coaches, and administration here in the beautiful community of Liverpool, New York. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning into today's show of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as always, and God bless to every single one of you. I am honored and I am privileged to be able to live my dreams every single day. And I want to thank Marcus Coleman for joining me today. I want to thank him for the human being that he is, that I've gotten to know over time. And I want to thank him for his support. He doesn't have to give me his support. He doesn't have to give me his time. He doesn't have to give me any of the things that he does. And I'm grateful that he has. Jerry Cummiskey, first time that we've ever had the opportunity to speak with each other. And I look forward to building that relationship, meeting his student athletes and seeing the success of his programs. And I appreciate him very much. And God bless to him and Heather and their family. And God bless to Chesney, the newest member of their family. And a beautiful name, Chesney, for a little girl. And many thanks to the Ingredients to Success and to Avicoli's, and speaking today on the definition of insanity. YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, is where you can find us on video and audio, here where sports truly meets that thing called life. And of course on internet streaming radio, wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And I cannot thank you enough for being with us around the country and the world Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And a big time thanks to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Many thanks to Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. See our special broadcast that is proudly presented exclusively by Brooklyn Pickle on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, with the East Carolina Pirates football team called Pirates on Call. Our first 2 episodes are available on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, Servomation, and of course, Mother's Cupboard. And very excited to do a live broadcast with Rob Drummond from Mother's Cupboard coming up here very shortly. And many thanks to the Lemoyne College Dolphins, the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and the Binghamton University Bearcats for being exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll find the Lemoyne playlist, the Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse playlist called BSC Syracuse, and the Binghamton playlist. You can also find all of our exclusive multimedia marketing partner college and universities by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, Syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and bubearcats.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless, and many thanks to each and every single one of you. To God above all, thank you for everything and for good news for my dad today. Greatly appreciate that more than anything. To Marcus, to Jerry, to Avacoles, to you. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Go see my Q&As with Fran Brown going into the 4th game of the season against Holy Cross at home. And I look forward to talking with you all soon. God bless.